10% battery. I just woke up to check my phone, and now magically it's after 3. Shit, I had places that I had to be, but time flies while you're mindlessly tapping a screen. They tell me I could use these apps to achieve, or maybe find the perfect match for me like Adam and Eve. But in actuality, they all are just distracting me and make me want the life of other rappers I see. I'm starting to see how this is bad for me. Woo! And all my indecisive swiping gave me ADD, or at least I feel like my attention span has way decreased. I'm feeling brainwashed like Instagram's the KGB. Yo, lately I've been giving into the path of least resistance, but I don't do shit to fix it. I'm just pissed that it's addictive. It's a digital world in which we've all become imprisoned, where we give ourselves the verdict of guilty, then play the victim. My phone guys, I don't mind. I've been spending too much time alone inside, scrolling. Life is passing me by. I'm in a band. 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 I'm in a band.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Level Up Cleveland. This week, we got with us Mr. TobyRaps.
Hello.
That's right. Toby is with us today, this week, and all week you'll be on our podcast.
I'll
really.
be on your podcast all week.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got you on here. I wanted to get you on here a long time ago. I found out about you when I had Chris DeCola on here with Signal Flow.
For sure, yeah.
He brought you up.
It's my boy.
Actually, Jake brought you up on
Yeah,
the show.
I know.
But your connection was more with Chris.
Mm-hmm. That's my best friend. But also met Jake first. I met Jake. Well, no, I didn't meet Jake first. But, like, Jake met Chris through me. Chris went to Los Angeles, and I had nowhere to record. So my dude Dante, who's also, like...
Dante.
Yeah, Dante.
He was in here also.
Signal. Oh, hell yeah. He was like, hey, man, I got a dude who has a studio if you need a place to record. So I went in, and I was just buying hour slots from Jake and started being really good friends with Jake. And then when Chris came back from Los Angeles, he needed a place to record, and I was like, I got a guy. And then Chris just kind of from there has like worked his way through Signal Flow.
We'll get into that relationship because I don't think Chris is a big part of this whole thing. He's like that with everybody he works with. Everybody who works with Chris loves him. Mm-hmm. But what happened was he brought you up, so I went and started investigating you because at that time, I think that was our 5th episode ever, so I'm looking for people to get booked on the show, and that kind of thing. TobyRaps, I'm like, oh, see? And I started watching your stuff, and then I was like, whoa, like this guy's really good. I mean, like, I'm not much into rap. I mean, I'm more of a heavy metal, rock and roll kind of guy, but your shit grabbed me. I was just like, wow, man, your lyrics, your topics, the way you produce it, the way you present it, your videos. I think everything about you is inventive in some ways, but so catchy and I just found myself in love with some of this stuff. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I was.
That's amazing.
I was watching your videos and I was like, man, that guy is so creative how he comes up with this stuff. And you're just riding a bike around and it's entertainment. It was just cool. You're wearing a dress, riding a bike with a guitar on your back.
Tell me do what you want and the money's gonna come, but my dreams don't make sense, cause I improve at the skills that you shouldn't have to pay for, but I'll find a way to make my rent. I'm a professional nice guy, busking at nighttime, and during the daytime I ride a bike and I write rhymes, and look people in the eyes, try to make them smile. Who am I? A 25-year-old man-child, raised right in them ways of Jesus Christ, so that I'm convinced that I can make a living off of being nice. So I fantasize about ways to make people's days, and what I find is that it feels like fame to be the one to make a person regain faith in strangers, and that's worth more than any green piece of...
So all that kind of stuff, and then you put out this new song, this Phone Dies song. This was right before we booked you, I think. That song came out. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I was like, I couldn't get that fucking song out of my head.
Thanks,
I still can't get that song out of my head.
Song.
I sing it to myself all the time. And the thing about you that's really cool is that you take these topics that are very common in people's minds and things that are just very, very just common, and you just put this spin on it and make people think about it in a way that you probably haven't before. And that to me is like art.
Thanks.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the idea.
That's what you do.
Take big things. Yeah, I mean that's just like, and I mean with that song specifically, it's just like it just so happens we're all going through it, and it's something I try to like look at what I'm going through in my life, and then just come to the conclusion that I am not so unique. So just like the things I'm going through are probably what everybody's going through.
I agree.
And then but then only write about my experience and just understand that you're touching on something that I think is something that I see in my peers and in people, just everybody else that in the world, or just like people I've met. And then just like once you have the grounding of knowing you're writing about something that people are all about, then you can just write about yourself, and just like there's a pretty good chance that it's touching people outside of you. Yeah, I had an acting teacher once tell me that the more it's like the best lyric advice. He was my acting teacher, but he gave me the best lyrical advice I've ever got in my life. He said, the more specific, the more universal. And that stuck with me so much, because I think there's a temptation when you're writing lyrics to try to, if you write songs, you're like, I mean, it's because you want to touch as many people as possible. You want to, as an artist, you want to just like prove that you're not alone. You want like your experience to resonate with something out and some people outside of you. So I think there's a temptation when writing lyrics to try to write almost as vague as possible, thinking like if you cast the broadest net, you'll catch the most amount of fish. But I think like almost like ironically that you write as closely and specifically to yourself as possible, and and just like know which of those experiences
it connects with other people.
It connects with other people because it's so specifically, and if it hits people's specific experience, there's like, wow. I think you're really right. I think that one thing that people do all the time in general is they think that their experiences are so unique to themselves. And what you find out in life as you get older is, no, that's not really true. Pretty much we all think the same. Pretty much we all feel the same. There's differences between all of us that make us unique. That part I agree with. But in the more, when I had Hannah in here from Trust earlier, she was talking about how she was stage fright in the beginning. She was scared to be on stage and all that kind of thing. And I was trying to say, like, but what happens is when you're at a show watching the band, and the way you feel when you're watching the band and what you're thinking about, it's pretty much what everyone thinks about. So when you're scared up there thinking that something different might be in the minds of the people that are down there versus what you think, that's what scares you. You think that people don't think like you. Yeah, you think that you're so alone up here.
Yeah, you're so different, and these people think differently.
Yeah.
They're making fun of me.
That's such a good point.
And the truth of the matter is that's not what's happening.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is we're all much closer to each other.
We all think a lot more than we all realize.
Yeah, dude, that's so true. Honestly, that's one of the biggest things. I moved to Los Angeles it was only like a year, it was before the pandemic, and I wrote an album about it too. And but I was always so afraid of people from LA and New York people to a certain, just big city.
Like they're different for some reason.
Like they're better than me, or they're different from you in any way. Like their problems are just like and then you move to these big cities and you realize, like, even a little small town boy like me is thinking the same as these people who are like celebrity type people in Los Angeles. Like we are all
not that much different.
Not that much different at all. None of us. Yeah.
So you are from Cleveland. Are you originally from Cleveland always? Or
yeah, I was from Chagrin Falls. I grew up in Chagrin Falls, a Catholic school all my life, and then went to Cleveland State for college. And then I pretty much lived in the Cleveland area since I went to college.
Now, you mentioned something about acting.
I went to school for acting. I went to school at Cleveland State for acting at first. And then I was just like, I just didn't want to do theater history classes for real. That was just it. I just did. I think everybody should take theater classes, period.
I was going to ask that.
Because it just does, like,
especially for what you're doing too. I would think that that's got to help you in some ways, because
I think it's the most important thing, especially if you're going to be like any sort of entertainer. I mean, you don't have to take theater things, but theater, it's so helpful what it teaches you. Just basic things like, when you're delivering a monologue in theater, you don't want to just like broadly present it to like this sea of people, like try to just address the crowd as a whole. It's much more like, you'll notice you're getting a lot more engagement from the whole if you're looking specific people in the eyes and deliver every line to you, and then I switch and I deliver this line to you, and that's what to successfully connect with the crowd. Even if you don't look everyone in the eyes, the crowd will feel more connected if they know. A crowd can feel when you're individually picking people out. And I learned that from theater school, and I think that's helped me like immensely as a performer on like just hip hop shows. I don't know. You can tell when it's working.
You're a big part of you though is video. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of what you do is the videos that you put out. It's not just your music. All your music's great. Your videos are great too.
Thanks.
And you tend to put yourself in acting type of situations in your videos where you'll portray the guy on the he's on the gurney and he's you know and you're singing while you're doing all this, but you're playing that guy. You're actually that guy. And
I'm like there's storyboards to all of them.
All that stuff, man. So I would imagine the acting classes, no matter even if they're gotta help.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so. I like being able to. I don't know, just like being in acting classes definitely like makes me like. Yeah, just not a lot of the characters I'm playing as myself, which helps. But like, right. It's definitely it's been like an immense help in any performance thing doing theater school, and just like I think just as a person too, it just like helps you listen well and connect with people. There's so many like I don't know invaluable things, which is weird that invaluable means valuable things that you can draw out of like a theater school. So I did that. And then I got a communications degree because it was just easier. I was just like I did all the acting stuff, got all the knowledge from it. And then got a degree that I never will use. I got out of college and I was a street performer immediately, which is when like that when I was riding around with a dress on the guitar.
And you're out there doing you're out there with the guitar.
That song's called "Make My Rent," and it was just like that album that is "Make People Smile" is about that's my life living in a house with 9 other people. We threw house shows in our basement, and we were just like a house venue. Also, if you look up Plymouth House right now, you will still see. On West 35th, just the house that we had.
No shit.
It was a venue, and then I just would go downtown and I would street perform for hours, and that was just my life for like 2 or 3 years.
So you're like a real artist, dude. I mean, I
think so. I hope so. I mean, I'm trying really hard to.
Well, I mean, like when you know what I mean. I think you
know
what I mean.
Successful is whatever, but like, yeah, I really am trying to like. I mean, I love being an artist. That's like I love art. I love creating, and I like really have like dedicated myself to. Like, just trying to be an artist. Like, I don't really care. I want it, of course, hopefully, let's get big. Let's get big. Let's get rich. But, like, turning my experience into song with, like, videos that are associated with it, too. Just, like, creating in the medium that I've just grown to love, which is hip-hop. I see that as, like, a completely worthwhile purpose, just like into my old age. Even if I never got big, I would still keep doing this and still keep pushing myself beyond my limits to just like come up with it. Because I was saying this before we started, but like, because it's therapy. I mean, this is therapy for me. Just talking to you guys, just being able to talk about myself is like, it's therapy for me. And like creating art is, I've been reading this book called The Artist's Way. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
So it's like, well, it's the program. It's 12 steps, but for artists. And it's like, honestly, that's my pay. You start by writing 3 freehand journal entries every morning. It's called the morning pages. And like they take you through it and you just do that every day. And you're trying to get to the whole of like, what is this blocker inside of you that is like keeping you from like being your most creative self. So I've been in kind of this kind of mindset of just like unleashing my creative. And something that I read about in the book is that the reason that we create anything is fame and fortune and what have you is awesome if it comes secondary to this. But the most important reason to create is that it's changing you. Like if you do it right, you on the other side of creating anything are a different person on the other side. And in ways that are like that I cannot explain and you cannot predict.
Can't predict it.
Yeah, it's just like and the bigger you and the loftier you go for, the longer the process takes to chisel out all the pieces and parts to make this thing that you envision to like really make this idea come to life. The more you're changed through the process of doing it.
And more your vision changes.
And the more your vision changes.
It does.
Yeah.
It changes with time. It changes.
Exactly.
You're like, wait, I thought I wanted this, but now I did this.
Exactly.
I want this now.
And it immortalizes parts of you. Like that album I was talking about, Make People Smile. Like, I'm not that guy anymore. Like, I don't have half my head I don't have half my head shaved anymore. I'm not a street musician anymore. And I don't want to be a street musician anymore. I don't want to live at a house venue anymore. But I'm so happy I did it. And if there comes a certain point with all of us, like, that memories just don't memories fade. I don't remember high school. I don't really remember that part of my life, to be honest with you either, besides just the bullet points. So to have something that pictures are all well and good, but to know that I took the experiences and I put them into something that is like immortal, that's just so valuable to me as a human being. And I like encourage anyone to be an artist in that respect, because like, you know, getting rich is awesome and the idea of getting rich is great, but the idea of getting rich is also completely like, it's completely irresponsible to dream that big almost to a certain degree.
And not only that, but I think that at least I found that you hear this, it's kind of cliche and I hate to say it like this, but money doesn't necessarily equate into happiness.
No, yeah, exactly.
And you know, like I find that sometimes in my life right now where I have less than I used to, I'm a lot happier.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it has to do with not, and it has nothing to do with the money part. It has a lot to do with the fact that I know me now. This isn't about me, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
I know me now. I understand myself. I know what I like. I know what I want to do. I know all them things.
So we're not like chasing the excesses of it because I don't need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
a
what
happy
I want.
guy.
I know what I need.
Yeah. And that's way more important than the richest part. Now, as far as you go, if you're going to get rich, it's going to be on this music and doing what you're doing.
That's the idea,
and you just said that you've grown to love this.
I love it.
When did you start? When did I
start loving it?
Well, as far as like when did you start realizing this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to be TobyRaps, and I'm going to do this is what I'm going to do.
I know the exact moment actually, which well, there's a couple big moments, but the exact moment was in Mexico City in 2015. It was me, it was Daniel Jimenez, and a bunch of other friends of his. So I met this dude in church camp when I was a kid, and we've been friends throughout the years. I think he's like a writer for HBO Latin. Don't quote me on that, but like,
cool.
Yeah, he's a screenwriter, and like kind of lifelong friend. I haven't talked to him in a little while, but after I graduated college, I was like, I'm gonna go see Daniel in Mexico City. He lives in Mexico City. He's from Mexico City, and I rapped this verse that I had written a cappella to him and a bunch of his friends who like mostly speak Spanish, but they speak English. And he was like, "What are you doing with that?" And I'd rapped throughout. I met Chris and James Propedelic and Chris Ticola.
Oh yeah.
In college, and I'd been rapping. I had made.
You met those guys in college?
I met those dudes in college. Yeah, their first year and my second year. Chris was running a studio out of his dorm, so I recorded my first EP with Chris Ticola. Chris is my relationship. I mean, because he just got married, so I've had a lot of heart to hearts with Chris Ticola like pretty recently, and yeah, my relationship with Chris Ticola is very special. There's nothing like so speaking that aspect where where I was just talking about how I'm so dedicated to this art thing and like making something, achieving it, and becoming a different person and blossoming in that way. And like I've done all of the things I just described side by side with Chris Ticola.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like Chris Ticola and my friendship is so vitally tied to my identity that like there's no friendship. I mean, it's just like it's incredible the friendship I have with Chris.
How much of what you do is Chris? So
in other words, production is pretty much all Chris. I mean, now I'm getting more hands-on on like.
Have you learned more throughout the process, and now you can be more hands-on?
Yeah, like the instruments are kind of still nothing. Like Chris plays all the instrumentation and ultimately is the producer. Like, but I'm getting better at being able to tell him like,
I'm hearing this beat.
This is the sound we're going for. Yeah, it's like I know what I'm looking for sound-wise more. But still, it's still 50-50 with Chris pretty much. Like just. He does the production and I do the lyrics. Is kind of how it goes.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's not just you. I mean, a lot of people he works with. They love him. He's
the best.
Rome.
Oh yeah,
Jerome. When we had him in here, he never stops talking about him. Every time I see him every once in a while. Rome. He's always.
Oh, dude, he's amazing. Coca-Cola, baby, Coca-Cola. I have a song with Rome too. I have an unreleased song with Rome.
Really?
It's like one of my favorite. Well, okay, so I'm off the tangent.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jimenez, Mexico City. I rapped this verse to him. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I think I'm gonna be a rapper." So I decided pretty much right then I'm gonna be a rapper. I like started writing rapper on like occupation whenever someone asked me my occupation, and I think like after I made my second album in Los Angeles, so it's Los Angeles when I realized, so I made Make People Smile, which was the first one, which was about the street performing thing. Moved to Los Angeles, wrote an album about what it is to be a transplant in Los Angeles. It was called Make More Friends. I'm wearing the hoodie for it right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that moment was like when I realized like what art can, like, just like how much that album meant to me. Just like it gave me purpose. LA's so big. And I didn't know what I was doing with myself in that place. And I was just like floundering. I'm so big, and I'm so big, and I have so little direction. And then making that body of work was just about my experience. Like gave me purpose, and I'd never felt more like revitalized in just like making something about my experience that just gave me a purpose, gave me a thing to do, gave me a reason to exist in this place where you found your niche, right? I found my niche there. Yeah, exactly.
And that what you did that all happened while you were out
That
in
was in
California.
LA, and then I made my album Make People Smile, which like helped me a little bit during. That was just like a purpose during the pandemic. I made it in 2020 with Chris, and then I recently just got knuckle tats that say TobyRaps. So I think now is like officially where I believe in myself enough. This is it. This is
When you
me.
get knuckle tats, that's it, man.
That's a job stopper.
You can't go back now.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you gonna do?
I branded myself, so I think it was all building to lead up to my friend Sam that does all my tattoos, and she I told her I wanted a knuckle tattoo. She sat me down and like really made me like
Think about
it before doing it, and she actually like something was wrong with her tattoo gun, so she had to like go get a part, and she comes to my house. She does it in my living room, so she had like a 20-minute drive time where I really just sit and decide if I wanted it. And in that time I decided like, do I want to be this? Like, yes, this is me. Even if I had a regular job, I would want those people at that job to know that about this music that is me and I've worked so gosh darn hard on.
Yeah, man, dude.
Yeah.
It seems like you're constantly doing stuff.
I'm
Constant.
writing.
It just never stops, right?
It's an obsession.
Is it?
The writing aspect, yeah. I mean, definitely. Creating and writing is an obsession.
Well, do you write faster than you put it out? Do you have that problem?
Definitely. I got the
Is that? Oh yeah, is that what that is?
Right
so
here.
you have a whole shitload of ideas and a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of started and partials and stuff like that, and then you go to that when it's time to do something new. Is that what you do, or does that?
I write like it's like if I'll always just like if a couplet or any degree of rhyming words come to me in the outside world, I just write them down. And then I'm like constantly working on like bits and pieces. I'm usually writing like 2 or 3 songs at a time. And whether they're silly or I'll ever use them or not. Because I've just realized recently, like picking and choosing is, I used to just like wait to just like write one song at a time. And now it's just like, I don't know. I just think it's better to just constantly write everything down. Because if I'm writing something here and then I write something a separate day here and like this can connect to this.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
So there's ways that all the pieces can kind of fit together. So I think it's best just like write it all down. Don't be like when you're writing, don't be a critic at all.
Don't be guarded about what you're putting
Never be
down.
guarded. If you're a writer, I think that's like in general, I think that's just like an important skill to have. Just like don't guard it. I mean,
don't worry about anybody else.
The filter was almost the worst thing that anyone ever taught us we were supposed to have.
Yeah.
Especially as a writer, just like write every single thing down because especially if you're working on 2 or 3 things at once.
Yeah,
you'll always find ways that things fit into each other.
Ideas will cross-pollinate.
Exactly. Ideas do cross-pollinate. It's a great way to say it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. This new song, this is what I was thinking about when I heard Phone Dies, was because the chorus is so freaking catchy.
Thanks.
It's one of the catchiest things. It's so catchy, it almost feels like I've heard it before. And I've dug into this.
Perfect.
I don't hear it. I don't hear it anywhere else, but it's so catchy. It just feels that way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I feel that.
And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so when you wrote that out, the cadence of that whole thing, how you did that whole thing, that's what makes it so catchy. The lyrics are great.
Thanks.
But the way how did that happen? How I'm just curious. I'm just trying to think like my phone dies. I don't mind. I've been wasting too much time spending
alone inside.
Yeah.
Scrolling.
Yeah, it's so
passing me by.
You can't help but sing this fucking song over and over again. Does that just come to you, or did you have to work at that?
I've been trying to write that song, like not that song, but just like I wrote the lyric. I hope and it's just I hope my phone dies. Just like that concept came to me maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Just the idea, like I was on my phone, it's just like, dude, I know that I don't have the self-control to stop using this thing.
That's great.
And so the idea of just like I hope my phone dies. I've like tried to write a couple songs and that never really much, but I've kind of like always I've been trying to write that song for like 4 years or 3 or 4 years.
No shit.
But and then I like this past year my goal was to write 6 singles. That I wasn't going to do an album this year. I was just going to do singles just so Chris and I could focus on completing a song until it's done and then putting it. Because like when you write an album, I mean, much to what I just said about writing 2 or 3 things at a time, you never know how ideas can connect. Writing an album is daunting because it's like you're working on 12 things at once. And so the idea that when you're done with that album, the inevitability that there's going to be some part that you're just unhappy with because you weren't. It's just you're working on
there's
12
so much
things.
of it.
You're the point of fuck it, it's good enough comes way sooner with an album than it does if you're working on one song. Okay, screw it, it's got to be done now point when you were just working on one thing. I think that one thing is inevitably better.
It's the quantity versus quality thing.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. So my goal was 6 singles this year, and I had done 3 of them. And I knew I needed a song because I had only written like 5 songs that year. So I knew I needed another one. And I just went on BeatStars and I found this beat, that beat. And it was just this dude. His name is Jake Angel. And I just like played that beat. I liked the beat. And I just like, that was the first concept that I just like said. And then you just kind of mumble.
Yeah,
you kinda,
hum a melody.
You hum and mumble a melody. And then you record that melody. And then you put words. Then you transcribe it into words.
That's all you did.
That's what I did.
Honestly, I mean, I
wrote that song pretty quickly too. That was like one of those.
Isn't that something else though?
That was the one that's like just comes to you. You work a lot.
Do you feel that same way too as other people? Like I know we do too, where you write a bunch of songs. The ones that seem the easiest ones to write, where they take the least amount of time, seems like you put almost no effort into it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times wind up being your best stuff.
I think those are the best.
Yeah,
ones.
like the ones you have to put a lot of effort into and labor over. Those usually aren't your favorite songs, although you feel like they should be the most satisfying.
Right, you're almost a little bit resentful of
Yeah,
this.
you're almost like, put a lot of fucking time into this, and that one's better.
Yeah, but you labor over the ones, you labor over the ones that take forever just so you're like practiced and sharp enough that when the ideas come to you that are just going to shit out like you just had your morning coffee, that those are easy. You know?
And they somehow resonate with everybody when that happens too.
Mm-hmm. I've been listening to this podcast recently called Dissect. It's just they break down rap albums, not just rap albums, but just bodies of work. And this dude is like it's an hour-long episode per song. And he's like really in depth.
Wow, he really tears them apart.
Just tears it apart. And so I've been listening to that a lot, and now I think I'm ready to just like, because of that, just to make an album. And I haven't made an album for 2 years now, and it's just like, again, the process of creating big things is like a big part of my identity. It gives me it just gives me purpose. Like, because I have an album working on, I like feel like I have like a reason I'm living for right now.
Well, it's a big endeavor.
I feel like I have like there's something to do. And that's all we're looking for as human beings. It's just something to do. That's why people get big houses. That's why people get gardens. So
yeah, it's true.
It's just something to do. So yeah, when I was on the road, I just played some shows in September and August. And so I did like 2 little tours. And both times, like a bunch of people came up to me, at least one person every show, and said, "You remind me of the adult Wiggles." Which is like exactly what I think I'm going for. Like that universality we're talking, like the Wiggles are writing things that all kids relate to. Yeah. But I want to do that for us, for adults. It's just like, you're touching on that same. We're all still kind of back to what we were talking about with the how we're all. A person on stage is afraid that nobody can relate to them.
Right.
I think the thing that's the same in all of us is, we were all kids. We were all scared kids. It's the inner child in all of us, I think, that is that essence that's like, we can all relate on the playground, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I'm just running with that concept of adults Wiggles music. And so the concept I'm currently working on is and I love that I'm doing this on a podcast. It's because like talking about this helps me write it. So just listen to this back and like, all right, so that's what I'm going for. So it's an adult kids album. And one thing I've realized recently in my life is that I am a child. I'm a child of a human being, and I am 30 years old. And I'm proud of that. Like you said, you're such a fan of the things I do, and I think a lot of that is tied to me being a child.
Yeah,
still.
I think you're right.
But also, there is this aspect of like, as we get older, you can't help it. Responsibility is coming, no matter how, like, and the older you get, the more responsibility you just are going to have. Like, my parents are going to get sick, and it's going to be my job to take care of them. Life is going to throw responsibilities whether you want them or not. And then, as you get older, you can choose to take more, and there's a lot of rewards you can get off of that. And I just think most of my life has been pushing off responsibility in order to create art. And I've left jobs. I've left good jobs to go be street performers just because I want to like have this artistic integrity
and have the freedom
to do so.
Takes freedom
exactly.
away from you.
I've just like lived my entire life thus far in the pursuit of freedom to be artistic.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I commend myself for that to a certain degree, but also it's like, we got to grow up a little bit, Ryan. And so I'm going to write it. The next album is a children's TV show. Like it's gonna be like blue, like the skits are all going to be like a Blue's Clues, like Steve from Blue's Clues type character who's teaching us as kids watching the show about responsibility. And it's going to be a children's episode on teaching my inner child that if you take on responsibility, it doesn't mean that your inner child is going to die and you're never going to be able to create again.
Yeah, right.
There's a
You're not
balance to it
leaving
all.
anything.
You're not leaving
just
anything behind.
Adding more to it.
Exactly.
Do you so is this like a concept album that you're going to be writing? Are all your albums, do you do that?
Yeah.
Do you write your albums around a theme and
They're
just
all
kind of like
they're
all
all
the songs
concepts.
kind of like go?
They all fit the theme. Like, I mean, Make People Smile was like the least of which, but I mean, still, Make People Smile was just like, I'm going to document my life. Like, if a song feels like it fits what my life is right now, then I'm putting it on. And there was like a general story arc of a street. My skits were all me being a street performer, and they were also like my parents and my family calling me. So it was not like a story, but it's just like, if I listen to that album, I remember what that time was in my life. And then Make More Friends, the one in Los Angeles, was like, I want to write the experience of a Los Angeles transplant. And the story arc was going to be person who comes to Los Angeles, is excited when they first get there, realize that like, you don't really need to be here and I kind of miss my friends, and then inevitably leaving Los Angeles, which I wrote about doing before I ended up doing that, which is kind of crazy. I wrote about that before there was a global pandemic, but I ended up leaving it. And then the third one, Make Yourself Happy, was like, I was reading a lot of self-help books, and I pulled out what I thought were, I think it's like 10 songs on that album. I pulled out 10 themes from self-help books about like what these things are saying to do to be happy. And I mean, I made it real basic. Like, drink water is on that album. Like, exercise is on that album. Like, and just it took
common
on
sense stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It took on like the concept that happiness is a work ethic, and it's to be happy. It's not something you achieve one day. It's something you work towards. And here are things that have been like psychologically proved. Like, get exercise, get enough sleep. I did a song with James. I did a song about sleep. I drink enough water. Give generously of your time to other people. And like, I broke it down into concepts.
Simple things that are just really easy.
Exactly.
Direction.
Mm-hmm.
Easy
And
direction.
I had like 10 topics, and then it's like, okay, well, they're your topics. And I wrote songs about each one of those topics, and that was Make Yourself Happy.
Brilliant.
And now we're doing a children's TV show.
I love this one. Yeah. And I'm sitting here while you're talking, I'm also thinking about the children's show type thing where I think that's brilliant.
Thanks.
I do. I think it's brilliant. So you're going to create a kids type setting for an adult
Listening.
type. Well, yeah, like the content is for adults.
Exactly.
But the setting is for children.
And like the instrumentation is very like, it's pop music, kind of like what Phone Died was. It's like pop instrumentation, which is crazy. I'm saying it is when I'm like,
Yeah,
I have a couple of the beats.
Well,
like,
because
let's
let's be honest. When you write stuff, the song in your head exists.
It exists
for real.
Yeah.
It's not something that anyone else knows about yet, because that's your job
True.
now
It's
to turn it into a physical thing.
It's to pull
that
it
you
out,
can,
but it's there.
You
It
can make other
exists.
people know what was in here. You know,
That's so true.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. The song exists as soon as it's in the head.
It exists.
Because I guarantee you, when you were even probably writing this song, you were singing that chorus over and over. Like, I know when we write songs, me and him would write a song.
Yeah.
I can't get it out of my head.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You can't get it out here. You'll be at work. You'll be on the road. You'll be doing something. And you're singing your own song.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not another person that's ever heard it.
Oh yeah. And
You're
if
the
you
only
know
one
the
that
whole
knows
thing,
it.
even
Yeah.
if you only know a segment of it, like I've written a couple choruses off the new album, and like, I don't even have the verses done, but it's like
You feel like there's a complete song somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's still there. It's just a matter of like remembering it almost, not even writing it, just remembering it.
Yeah. Well, that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I think as creative things pop in to your mind and stuff, being able to flush that out, because it'll go.
Dude.
Like, as fast as it comes in, if you don't have somehow if you don't sing it into a phone or do something, all of a sudden you're like, what was that thing I was thinking of earlier? And it's like, it's no longer there, man.
Dude, one of my favorite authors is Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh yeah.
She's incredible. She also is a big proponent of The Artist's Way. She's like she loves that book. And one of her like core beliefs, like one of this woman's core beliefs about ideas, is that ideas are like living entities that they exist on like the spiritual plane, but like in the physical plane with us. And ideas are these just pure raw consciousness that are, just an idea. And our brains through years of evolution are the only things that are sensitive enough to comprehend these things. So what ideas do is they come into our antenna, and our antenna of our brain receives these things, and the idea immediately realizes, like, is this person going to be my host? Like, can I actuate myself through this person? And like, that's like, and it determines whether you are willing or not by like how quickly you are to write it down, and like how much dedication you show to the idea. And we've all had like the experience of where like you had an idea, but you just never did anything with it. And then you see someone blow up who like had the same idea. Like her thought is like eventually these ideas might realize you're not the right host, and they'll just fucking float.
Go somewhere else.
Like a dandelion flower.
And you might think it was stolen, but they couldn't have stolen because they don't know you.
Exactly.
And then you're just like, well, that's the same fucking one.
It's the exact same one. Yeah, that idea just left you and went to another host that
very interesting way of looking at it.
I know. It's just, I like a magical view of the world.
Yeah, that's neat.
I think if the world is so subjective. Period.
Well, you just find that a lot of things in life are unexplainable. So you experience them, but to explain them, it's very difficult to do. So these ideas will enter into your head, and all of a sudden you found a way to explain something that you couldn't before.
Yeah.
It's up to you to just kind of flesh this thing out so that someone else can understand it.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
That's what you do.
That's all you do. That's what a songwriter. That's what he's doing.
That's where you're just in service of the memes, of the idea, or of the thoughts, of the greater consciousness.
Absolutely, and I think you're right too. Where you have to do this stuff in a way where you're not guarded. You're not. When you write stuff, you can't really worry about what other people are going to think about it as you're writing it. You can worry about that stuff later on after it's released or whatever like that as you're presenting it to people. But as you're writing it, if you start thinking like that, you're really probably not going to completely put down your thing.
And then people can tell. And I think we all have like artists where you can tell like automatically when an artist is like serving themselves versus wondering what's popular or what they think other people
using
want
a formula or something to that nature.
Just like thinking what do I think the people want to hear, as opposed to like what do I need to say. And I think there's like, especially in a modern era where the internet is everything, when everyone's self-expressing about everything all of the time, everywhere at once.
A little too much.
It's so much overload. The only thing, I mean, it's just like we crave authenticity as human beings. Like, I need it. The people who are willing to just like, their art is them working through their own shit and then seeing how that lands on the greater consciousness. Like, and then wonder like, just seeing how their experience relates to me.
And then I think as far as fulfillment goes, if you're processing these things through a formula, or if you're doing things like worrying about, will someone else like this song? I think what happens is that I think for one, I think like you said, I think people will pick up on all that stuff. I think you become but I think at the end, for instance, when you perform, right? When you perform, I haven't seen it, but Pat explained to me, he's like, this guy, dude, he's up there performing. The whole place is singing along with him. These people they know all his words. This isn't like a local guy who's out there just trying to make it. He's got a whole fan club already in place, that when you're doing that kind of stuff and you get that kind of reaction, if the whole process was to just please these people, it's not going to be nearly as satisfying as if you wrote this from inside you, and it's just resonated.
It's resonated, yes. It's just your truth.
You're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
these are your words. This is all your feelings. And I'm reaching all these people, and it's through that it's happening, not some phony thing that I'm creating thinking this is what somebody else likes. And then at the end of the day, if it is successful, you could be like, well, I was right. And that's as far as it's going to be. Your satisfaction is just that you're right.
That's such an interesting way to put it. Yeah, which like if you are writing for, this imagined audience and you do, and best case scenario, it resonates and it hits them. Now you have people singing back words that do mean a lot to them, maybe, but don't really mean anything to you.
All you were trying to do was please that person.
Was please them, so it means kind of nothing to you as a performer. And then it's like, who can...
The satisfaction doesn't...
Why would you keep... Yeah, it's like, what's fulfilling to you as a performer now, aside from the fact that, I mean, yes, you touch someone else, but yeah, it feels much more...
Phony.
It
becomes phony.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a lot of musicians out there who rely on formulaic type things and stuff just to become successful, or they do something that works one time and they just stay there.
Sure.
And that sometimes that works. It worked for AC/DC. You know, I mean, like they never changed ever. It's same song, same band.
AC/DC,
since the day they've started, really, you know. But not everybody does that work for. You know, you gotta change.
And I think also just as from a performer standpoint, it makes it symbiotic, the relationship. Like when you write from your experience first, regardless of, I don't know if anyone's gonna like this. And then eventually, and if somebody does, it feels so much better. Like, this is how I feel. People saying, this is how I feel, which is how I feel. The room is just, you've created a community in that respect.
What's that like, man?
Amazing.
What's that feel like when you're up there and you're getting that response and there's all these people screaming back at you?
It's the best feeling in the world.
Is it the drug? Is it the drug that keeps you going back to the whole thing?
Definitely. I mean, just having an audience, like I said, I know I said that like creating is a worthwhile endeavor in and of itself, just like pulling something out of myself and coming up with a big goal. Because creating definitely just gives me purpose. And if it was only that, it'd be only that. But knowing that you have any degree of an audience, like any more people outside my family and the friends that who already knew me,
the ones that always tell you how great you are.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely just keeps you creating. Like it's enough motivation. Even if it's only 5 people, knowing there's somebody who, like, the only reason they like you or know you really even is just because of this art that you've created, it gives you a sense of, I guess, responsibility. It's like, okay, now I have a reason to create more than just improving myself, which I guess keeps you motivated.
Do you get people talking to you, like, have you gotten to the point now where people are like, this song changed me, or this, thank you for writing this type thing, where you have fans that are actually like doing the thing where, you know, you really helped me out a lot, or that kind of thing? Do you get that kind of stuff
I've
too?
got a few times. Yeah, definitely.
Do people notice you on the street ever? Do you ever just get noticed where people come up to you and be like, you're TobyRaps?
I mean, not like, not like Drake, can't leave the house, but yeah.
One time is cool, dude. I mean,
I don't care. Yeah, definitely has happened to me.
Just one time.
Definitely has happened to me, which is like, I mean, it's
catches
incredible.
you off guard, you know, and you're just like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Know? You just feel like, I think that what it comes down to is those are the little moments where you feel like your efforts are like,
it helps. I mean, it makes you feel good. I don't care how humble, I think obviously be humble. Being humble is super important, but like, I think if you're creating anything, if someone tells you did a good job, especially if it happens like on the street or something, like, recognizes you, feel good about that. That's incredible, dude.
There's a huge difference between arrogance and confidence. There's
wow, good way to put that.
There's a big, a lot of people confuse the two constantly. Wow. And they're afraid to be confident because they think it's
arrogant.
It gets into arrogance, and good luck without confidence. Good luck doing any of this shit without
Holy shit.
Like you have, I don't even have to know you. You have a shitload of confidence, which I think that is like probably your best attribute as far as
it's pretty much all
getting through this.
That's my biggest. That's all I got.
I mean, but seriously, without that, you're not. That's what propels you. That's what gets people to do all this kind of thing and come out the other end. Okay, confidence, because without it, you lack things. Confidence lets you go to that next idea and be good with it. I know it's going to work out. Why? Because I have confidence in myself.
Right,
it's going to work out.
Yeah.
That's how this works. Without it, people with no confidence, or if you think that being confident is being arrogant, and that's gonna, again, what you're doing there is worrying about other people.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing.
Good point. It's just living in someone else's head and not your own.
Don't worry about that shit, man. Being an arrogant person is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole different.
That's a really good way to put it. The way you just said that's living through someone else's eye. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, speaking back to the phone die thing, I'm just talking about phones because I've just been thinking about it a lot because of that video, and also I know I made that song, but I am worse off than ever in my life with my phone. And like, it's so interesting how bad it's gotten. Because the temptation to live in someone else's perspective of me. I'm just like, social media, I mean, I know it's like so crazy to just like talk about social media, but like, it's just like, I'm so much more aware of myself. That podcast Dissect, actually, I was listening to, they were dissecting Bo Burnham's Inside, which if you guys have never seen it, it's the most incredible piece of modern film, and it's just incredible. This dude, Bo Burnham, is a one-man show comedian, songwriter, and his special on Netflix called Inside is incredible. So this Dissect podcast is breaking it down, and he had an interview with Bo Burnham talking about cell phones, and Bo was talking about how in the modern age with social media and just with technology and with our phones, we all live more than ever with this like consciousness of self. Like, not only am I Ryan Toby, but I am TobyRaps, and I am thinking about how to like commodify the brand of myself, like the way that a corporation does, or and we're all doing that at once. And it's just like, and because of that, because I view myself as a brand as well, I mean, I'm afraid of like backlash towards that brand.
Well, it's a weird time we live in too right now,
it's
man.
It's a weird time we live in too. It's just like I think like the fear is also just like based off of this whole thing of just like we've seen people go down and get canceled, and like we're just all so much more aware of people's perception of us,
and way too much.
Way too much more than ever.
I think that's a problem.
Yeah, me too. I think it gets me out of my. It's almost impossible to be. It takes a lot of effort to be authentic in this today's culture because of that. Like, that's why I write so much.
You got to peel a lot of skin away, and you got to expose yourself. And if you don't, it's hard.
It's really hard to be yourself.
People will pound you down.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Who do you manage yourself completely? Like, are you a one-man wrecking crew here? Do you have any help whatsoever aside from like Chris Cole as far as booking gigs?
I play with shows with James, but I mean, yeah, I mean it's kind of like what people offer me. James helps me a lot for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of just a one-man operation right now, though. Like organization-wise, I have people help me, but it's like kind of TobyRaps is kind of just a one-man organization right now.
Well, are you always looking to like play out those stuff? Are you looking to do gigs? Do you have like a plan? Is there a plan in your head at all?
No, not really.
Are you winging it, basically?
I'm winging it, Biggie. And that's probably, that's why we're writing an album on responsibility. Yeah, we're winging it right now. Although just like, I mean, it's weird. Whenever I get in a situation where like I'm writing, it's like, that's all I'm going to do. For the next I'll play some shows whenever people give me shows, but like I'm just gonna probably just gonna write and play shows whenever I get shows. I'm not like planning a tour or anything right now. I'm just.
Is it a feeling for you? Like, it's like, I feel like writing now, so I'm gonna start going to this writing mode, or does it feel like it's just the next thing? Like,
it's just kind of day by day. It's like it's next thing by next thing. I mean, it's just like if I have an idea. Like, I mean, yeah, I think just like the making of stuff is more important. Playing shows is great, and it's a really good feeling, and it feels good to be around people who I know like my stuff. But like, it's very much just comes out like the creating in the making and the writing is like probably my favorite part. So if I have an idea, I'm following that.
So really, the writing and the recording and making the song is more kind of satisfying than the actual live.
Yeah, the live performance I love in a different way, and I love connecting with people. I'm a people person, but like I love being around people. I love like hearing people's stories. I love listening to people. I like meeting people, and like that's a serious addiction. Like I'm a hardcore extrovert, but yeah, it's like if I have an idea for something to make, I'm gonna.
It's just time to now. It's time
like,
to write.
I will give 3 months of it's like I will give up 3 months of my life to just just like make money and write songs.
Are you a fan also of stuff? I mean, is there a lot of music that you also listen to? Also?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's some of your favorite stuff that's got there now?
Favorite rapper is J. Cole. He's just incredible. He's so good. He's just like an incredible storyteller and just like incredible rhyme. He's just a true master of his craft. I listen to a lot of Kendrick Lamar too. Between Kendrick Lamar and it's just pretty basic. I'm very basic, I guess, in that respect. Because
you have an old school,
two of the best, but
you have an old school style of rap too. You're not so much like a modern rapper where you don't have 875 words per line.
That's
sometimes.
true. Yeah,
you like to be heard and understood, and you're delivering a real message in a lot of these tunes.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You actually perform it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I think those are two of my favorite. Just Kendrick Lamar for the concept. Like every Kendrick Lamar album is like a pretty heavy concept album, or just like they're just so well thought out, his bodies of work. And J. Cole is just like a master of his craft. He's just like a master of being able to say like really complex, big, weighty things in very concise ways.
Yeah.
So I listen to those two a lot. I listen to those two are probably the biggest, at least right now, those are my biggest. And Chance the Rapper is big for me too. I think that's me.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know much.
No. I think it's all me. Actually, it's Chris Cole right now. It's Chris Cole.
I can hear you over there talking about me.
Yeah. Burgers at Chris's place later? Anyone? Huh? Yeah, sounds good. He just got a flat top for his wedding, like a that you'd see in like a diner.
Oh, like a black stone.
Like a black flat top thing. Yeah. Oh, it's super cool.
Yeah, they're great, man.
They're awesome, man.
For breakfast.
Yeah,
best.
Oh my God, the eggs on there too, dude. I went to Sal's Menu restaurant, so I don't know. I guess that's like Chance the Rapper, also a big influence, but totally tangential from that. I know I haven't plugged a lot of things on this podcast yet, and this one has nothing to do with anything musical. But if you're listening to this right now, you need to check out Sal's Menu Restaurant on Denison and Pearl Road. It's a 24-hour diner, and the things they're doing with that small flat top they're working with, it's miraculous to watch those people work. I mean, it's seriously...
Where's it at?
Denison and Pearl. It's real close to here. I mean, it's like right up the hill. It's like...
Oh, I know exactly where it's at. Where Pearl turns into 25th.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there.
It's like diagonally across.
Oh,
the
I know where
street from
Sal's is at.
Sal's, baby. Sal's Diner. Come on, man. It's a great. I had them for breakfast this morning. They're incredible.
Yeah, man. Oh, you did? You went there this morning?
Yeah.
I used to go to Sal's, but Sal's been around.
Oh, yeah. It's been around for a minute.
There's a bunch of greasy spoons in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't care what it says. Cleveland got good food.
They got good food. No, I love Cleveland food.
Cleveland's food is great.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Heart of Gold as well. That's my buddy.
Yeah. When the girls here from locally Cleveland
were
were
going to
just
Heart of Gold.
locally
grown.
I always say locally Cleveland.
Locally
Why
grown.
do I do that?
Well, it's you'll get there.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Anyways, so what are you doing when you leave here?
When I leave here today,
yeah, like what do you do like outside of music and stuff like that? Do you have any other things that you even like do?
Bro, I'm just gonna write this album. It's like crazy. It's like I'm telling you, when I'm doing something, when I'm writing, it's like it's all consuming. It's all I'm doing. It's like
morning, you wake up thinking about it, and you go to bed thinking about it.
That's all I'm thinking about. Until I make this thing, it's gonna be all I think about. I told all my friends, like when I told Chris or James that I had an idea, it's just like. It's almost like a rolling of eyes. Like, they're very happy, but it's like almost a rolling of eyes because it's like, if I have an idea and I'm making something, it's all I'm going to talk about. It's all I'm going to think about. It's all I'm going to do. Like,
yeah.
I'm very obsessive.
Well, especially for Chris's sake.
Yeah.
That means he's got nothing else to think about because
I know,
as long as you're doing it, he's got
it's like I'm a very obsessive personality, I would say. That's in a lot of good ways and a lot of bad ways.
Well, I think that's what gets it done.
Yeah, I think it gets things done. Yeah, I mean, definitely. And like from a creative aspect, I think being obsessive is like, being obsessive is better than being a perfectionist, because a perfectionist will drive yourself you should just strive for the best you can do, but like after a certain point, just like realize this is where I'm at now and I'll be better later. But being obsessive, I think, is like something that's crucial in order to get anything done.
Finished.
Yeah, finished.
I think that's what destroys so many artists.
Yeah.
Is they never get to the end. Or they do one thing and they're satisfied. They feel like, oh, this is great. They ride that out instead of going to the next thing.
Yeah.
To the next thing. Like you're that guy that's, all right, I'm done with that. Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Now what?
Yeah,
now
exactly.
what? And it just doesn't stop. It
definitely could be better from you asked me if I have any crew or anything. Like, no, I have, like, I could be so many ways I need to improve as an artist as far as just like caring enough to get myself out there. But I just like,
you're just waiting to write something else. But that's the artist.
Else,
that's the artist in you.
That's the thing. It's like,
you're just a creator.
I'm a creator, very much so. I definitely could be a lot better as a businessman. I'm not a businessman.
Yeah, you're right, because you know what you also are. You are is that you're a creator, but you're also a great performer, and I think like that's going to be your bread and butter is the way that the fact that you can perform and that's great.
My next song that's coming out, it's which. Today is what? Lifting the fourth wall of the podcast, acting as if we're not recording this in the past from the day it's now been released. What's today's date? In the future, it's the 20-something right now?
Yeah, it's 26th, I think I said. Something like that. 26th, I think I said.
It's 26th right now?
Yeah.
Well, then you all are already aware that I have released a new single called Smirnoff and Cyanide. Yeah, we're all aware that today.
So Smirnoff and Cyanide is out.
It is out right now. It is out right now. It released on Good Friday or Black Friday.
Any collaborations on this one?
Yeah, this girl named Earth to Eve. She is she's from Los Angeles, and this is kind of like a music friend. Like I never really met her. I just knew her music. I love her music. She's so talented. And I knew her because like her roommate was a friend of mine in Los Angeles. I moved back to Cleveland. Still had never met her and just like commented on all her stuff because I'm just like such a genuine fan of her music. And then we're just kind of on the same like level, socially on the same level. So she just like said, she would always reply, say thank you. She's now a fan of my music, and I just like sent her this song I met her in Los Angeles, actually, last time I went. I went to Los Angeles in March, and I met her. We just, like, sat down and, like, just, like, shared songs with each other. It was super cool. Like, hung out for, like, an hour, first time we ever met. And I'm like, we should do a song together. I was like, yeah. And then I had this song that actually, John Shields from Little Stranger produced it. Which
Really?
Yeah. I went to Charleston and did one song with him, and he produced this song with Chris as well. And I just, like, she has Earth Eve has a very, like, Amy Winehouse-y,
real original type sounding voice. Yeah.
And I had her on it. I love the hook. So the hook is, this is probably one of my most, just, like, I don't know about controversial, is not the word, but just, like, it's just a very unique perspective, which is that the perspective of the song of Smirnoff and Cyanide is, I'm so happy that baby, this is it. Maybe I kill myself today. Maybe I don't want to live another day, because it's like life's so good.
You can't do better than this.
Yeah, it's like almost the opposite of when you would think someone is taking their own life. It's like, life is so bad, I don't think it could ever get up from here.
Yeah.
It's like the flip perspective of it, just like,
well, I lived my best
so
day.
Good. I don't know if it gets better than this. Honestly, I think I'm out. Like, everything's been so good. It's nothing. You guys did nothing. It was amazing. I'm out. So that's like the concept.
Pretty wild concept,
it's
man.
like,
it
but
is.
it's like, yeah, the hook doesn't really, like, overtly. I mean, the song, what I wouldn't say, like, overtly. You wouldn't feel like it's, like, over the top.
Yeah,
but that's totally what it's about.
Yeah, right. You kind of mess
I
around.
feel like I did it, like, artfully, but that is what that song is about. The hook goes, I'm feeling good, never been better. This the happiest I've been that I remember. I'm feeling so great, no lie. I wouldn't be pissed if this the day that I die.
That's pretty straightforward.
That's straightforward enough, yeah.
I think you can pick up what that's all about. That's excellent, man.
Thanks, man.
I'm telling you, dude. You see these people who do make it and stuff like that, and you could see that they have certain intangible things. I think you got them.
Thanks, man.
I do. I think you got all that stuff.
I think so too. I hope so. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so.
And you got a lot of shit that people can go check out. That's
Yes,
another
sir.
thing I love about it. So you could, if you want to go out there and check him out, you can go on YouTube, and he's got, just go on TobyRaps, go onto his channel, and you'll just see videos galore going across. You do some collaborations. Well, they're all collaborations with Chris, but you've done some video collaborations with Chris DeCola also, where he shows up in some of the videos. You have, like I said, you did
Actually,
the one.
dude who does a lot of my videos, I should shout him out. His name's Misha Tot. He's from Atlanta. Well, he's from Russia. He lived in Cleveland for a while. Now he lives in Atlanta, and I mean, he did my exercise video, and he did he's in most of my music videos.
That was a good
He's a
one,
good one, dude. He's so good at what he does.
You're a funny dude, man.
Thanks.
I'm telling you, dude. You're a riot, dude. You do the shit that you do, and you'll put yourself, like, out there and just be like, fuck it, it's for the art, man.
Dude,
It's
it helps,
fucking great.
honestly. I mean, I didn't shout Misha up maybe enough. Like, dude, this dude, he is like, I have a vision for the things that I do, but it, like, so helps to have, like, this dude is just, Misha's wild. Misha, he's such a good filmmaker. He's so fast. Like, a music video, if I do a video with this dude, it's done that week.
No shit.
Like, I did Phone Died. It was back to me in a week. And he's just, like, wild. He machine with this stuff. And he's just, like, it's really nice working with somebody who, he's just, like, I tell him any crazy idea, and he just goes, like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, dude, I can make that work. And he can make it work so well. Yeah, it's like having he's Misha's
something that can flesh it out, your idea.
It's just awesome.
You're
Somebody
a musician.
Who says yes. Someone who just, like, says yes to your ideas and, like, will add their own input when it's tasteful, but just honoring what my idea was is like, he's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's about all the time we have. Check them out. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna end up putting a lot of the clips in this. I'll put video clips in this actual interview.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, check them out. It'll be playing out. Oh no, this isn't gonna. I'm not gonna be able to do any kind of live stuff.
I'll be out here.
We'll promote
Actually,
that.
We'll
promote that.
I'm playing December 31st with Tropidelic. I'm doing the after party for the House of Blues.
December 31st?
Yeah. I'll be doing the after party, so I'll be playing after Tropidelic.
Oh, no shit.
I'm gonna do a little cypher action, honestly.
Where's that at?
It's at the House of Blues in Cleveland, New Year's Eve.
Wow.
I know, it's gonna be great.
That's
honestly.
a good one.
Yeah, you guys should come, everybody.
I know, man. House of
Come on,
Blues.
it's gonna be great.
Tropidelic,
Yeah,
too.
dude, it's gonna be amazing.
All right, that's all the time we got.
All right.
We're out of here. Thanks, Toby, for coming down.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Peace.
Hey, yeah!
It is I, ZM Delgado, author of the Rust Belt Rock Review at ZaccoLantern.com, and this is your weekend concert calendar update. First off, Friday, December 2nd, at No Class Cleveland, we've got Buried Alive, with support from Exhibition, Steel Nation, and Live It Down. Up next, Saturday, December 3rd, at the Beachland Ballroom, we've got Cleveland Mosh 2022, 14 bands, 2 stages, including I Set My Friends on Fire, Pray for Sleep, Dying Desolation, Denialist, The Worst of Us, Dead Cassette, Between Home and Serenity, and many more. So that's something you're going to want to check out, I guarantee you. There you have it. That's your concert calendar update. I want to thank you for checking it out. Thank you for watching Level Up Cleveland and for reading the Rust Belt Rock Review. Until next time, back to you, Brian.
That'll be fine.